Welcome to a very special episode of the Hockey Hour. That's right, a shorter version of the show this week. We've had it's been a huge week. We've had midweek finals. So we have decided to do a shorter show. We've recorded on a Thursday night. Being that Jane and I have had some other commitments, we're back in the online format again. So welcome, Jane, of course, our former hockey-roo. How are you going?
Yeah, great. Obviously, great to have you back from sunny old Darwin for your international commitments. So the podcast is officially international, surely.
Literally the only time I can say that in my whole career. Of course, I am Jace Gabriel. We are the co-hosts of the Hockey Hour. Like I said, it's been a huge week of semi-finals, Tuesday and Wednesday night in the Stiles Electrical Premier League, as well as the Premier Twos. Go back and check out our previous episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. This week is special also in that it's a shorter episode, as I mentioned. Hockey WA news. We'll get to the mailbag questions. We'll give you the results of all the finals from the weekend and the midweek and the upcoming prelim finals. And we're going to chat to the Thunderstick's men's coach in Stephen China Davies. Going to be a ripper, even though it's shorter. Let's get ourselves underway, Jane. The Hockey WA news, the Oceania Cup, something that you know very, very well. Let's start with the results of the Kookaburras because it's probably more positive. 2-0 on Thursday, and it was Lockie Sharp's first game since the Paris Olympics. How incredible is that?
Yeah, crazy. Obviously battling injury himself. But the Kookaburras got it in a clean sweep over the Vantage Black Sticks. Game 1, 2-0 victory. Game 2, 4-1 victory. And then game 3, also 4-1 victory. And some impressive hockey to watch over the weekend. And I think every hockey fan would have loved to see it on obviously Channel 7 and been able to access it as accessible as the AFL. Hockey-roos in their counterpart. Honestly, my heart broke for them watching. I was yelling at my TV the entire time. They did play very well and had plenty of opportunities to seal the deal, which I'm sure you're very aware of. But unfortunately, after game 1, 1-0 loss to New Zealand. Game 2, 2-1 victory, very promising, heaps of opportunity. And then game 3, losing in a shootout after a 1-1 draw in normal time. So, I'm sure they're not very happy with the outcome, especially that last game. They had so many opportunities. I think there was a stage where they were having re-award corner after re-award corner. And, unfortunate to come out not with a win. But, now they have a tough road ahead.
Yes, absolutely. That's probably the biggest thing I took out of it is that they struggled from penalty corner. One from probably, I want to say 20 plus for the 3 games. And fascinatingly, Tatum Stewart didn't flick in any of those. She's probably the most prominent or maybe the quickest, let's say, of the flickers. I think Claire Colwell is also very, very good. So there's some concerns there for the Hockey-roos in regards to their goal scoring, but let's not take it away from New Zealand. They were brilliant. They were staunch in their defence. They were physical and look, their keeper Grace O'Hanlon, who does have some Australian ties from back in your earlier in your career. She was just brilliant. She was the player of the tournament, even though we didn't award it. And
I believe it came out afterwards that she actually had a torn hamstring as well. So on one leg as well, which is incredible.
Let's look at the World Cup as a whole now, because obviously the Kookaburras and the New Zealand men have qualified. And then following their win at the Asia Cup, India have qualified. So that means 8 teams total now. Belgium, obviously the joint host with the Netherlands. Australia, Spain as the 2024-25 FIH Pro League champions. Argentina were the Pan American Cup winners. And Germany as the 2025 Euro Hockey Championship winners. So 8 teams so far, and then there will be an Africa Cup of Nations in October to get our African winner as part of the World Cup, and then qualifiers for everyone else kind of that doesn't quite get there for Feb / early March in the men. I think it's the same with the women, but let us know who's qualified for the women.
Yeah, so for the women, obviously New Zealand through Oceania Cup. Asia Cup is currently taking place. I think I saw a scoreline of 20-0 China versus a small subsidiary in Asia. And so I was like, see, this is why we can't join Asia, like you suggested. There's no benefit. And then obviously the current 7 teams qualified already is Belgium and Holland, but obviously being the hosts, Germany through FIH Pro League, Argentina also through FIH Pro League, and United States obviously being this, they came runner-up in the America's Cup, but obviously with Argentina already qualified, they got the qualification spot for them. And same for Spain, who actually finished, I think, 3rd in the Euros, but because Belgium, Netherlands had already qualified, they got the 3rd spot. And then New Zealand rounds out all of the qualification for the regionals, and then the rest go into this pool that will be played, I believe, in late Feb, early March in 2026. So, a tough grind ahead for the Hockey Roos. They're probably hoping for a nice little summer rest over December, January, but I assume they'll, be called back to camp pretty soon.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. And there is a question in the mailbag, which we'll get to very shortly. But yes, they are going to have to go the long way round. And look, it's going to be difficult. There's going to be, I think, spots up for grabs in this from this Hockey One season coming up. So great time to have a really good Hockey One season, because
especially if you're a goal scorer.
100% goal scorers are going to be much watch on them. So let's get to the mailbag, Jane. And I'm excited about this mailbag. This is the biggest mailbag
I know.
all year. 7 questions. I know that sounds so small, but I'm excited for this. This is brilliant. Albeit we have a double question from one of our regulars, but the first one is not even a question. Our great friend Rory, who has only taken up hockey in the last month and a half to 2 months and let us know his progress. He writes in and says, no question, scored my first goal. Thank you for the tips and tricks a few weeks ago. Kookaburras, here I come. I love it. I love the passion.
Especially because I barely score goals. So the fact he's only been playing hockey 1 month and I've been playing since I'm 5 years old, sick.
Rory, well, Jane always loves goal scoring tips and tricks. So feel free to share them with Jane. But give us, for next week's show, give us more of a rundown. Talk us through it step by step. We want to know how this goal was scored. You never forget your first goal at a highish level. So any first goal, let us know. We'd love to hear all the details on it. Next question. Next couple of questions are from Rywright_88. First of their questions is, who are your front runners to take the flags in the Prem 1 and 2? Now, I had a look. Let's start with the Prem 2. I had a look at the Prem 2 today. For me, in the women, I think UWA, even though they lost to Fremantle to get into the grand final, that was albeit in a shootout, I think they are probably still the front runner and will, I think, play Fremantle Coburn in the grand final. I think they're about 12 points clear of Fremantle Coburn at the end of the season. So for me, I think it's the UWA women in the Premier 2s. In the men, I like Melville in the men. Now, YMCC got themselves direct into the grand final, beating Hale. I had a quick look at Melville's team, and they have some serious first-grade talent in that team that have obviously not been able, obviously qualified for 2s, but not been able to play first grade a hell of a lot this year. The likes of Ross Hall, Wes Stewart, Jacob Woods, who's a young gun. I think Melville in the men, they will play this weekend against Hale in the prelims. So they're my tips. Who do you like in the Prem 1?
Oh, Prem 1, I think I would love to say Hale, but we obviously commentated on the weekend, and then last night I was watching them play, and they really struggle with goal scoring. It's like they've come off the tips of the Hockeyroos, have a lot of play, but not bang for their buck. So that's where their main issue is right now. And Lions are really formidable in terms of if they can get their Hockeyroos back in particular. Like, I don't know where that sits with everyone. I think if some Hockeyroos have gone home or what have you, what's happening. And so really, like, if Hale can get a Claire Colwell back, really make their penalty corners deadly. But I think it's between a Hale and Lions for me. And the deciding factor for me will be who gets their Hockeyroos back, whether they get back this weekend when they're playing or what have you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. I think they can play this weekend, as far as I know. I imagine Claire Colwell is here. And obviously Mariah is injured. So it will just be Claire, but that gives them a penalty corner threat. Whilst for subs, I saw Amy Lawton at the stadium for their game on Wednesday. So I assume she's going to stay. I don't know where Alice is. She came home with the team, but she may have flown out again. I'm not sure. So that'll be fascinating. Fascinating.
It will be. But it's a tight one.
Yeah, I find I'm finding it hard with the girls too. I watched Hale last night, and obviously Wolves and Hale. I think Wolves Wolves and subs. Sorry, Wolves I think are the front runners, even when they get Greta and Grace Young back. So Wolves for me in the women. And of course, I'm going to say Vic Park in the men. And
I really do hope Vic Park, but I was their last score line I was shocked by. But
yes, got away from a little bit. But UWA have a very, very good team.
I do think UWA will be very hard to beat with who they can field. That's for sure.
Let us know. Yeah, let us know your thoughts. _88. Obviously, it'll be by the time we hear from you, it'll be grand finals. So tell us who you think is going to win the grand finals in the Prem 1 and Prem 2. His second question, I think he's been following 1S Orchard on Instagram.
So do I.
Do you think Trini Powell's job is safe given the recent performances?
I know you look at other sports and like soccer, for example, they're very quick to hire different coaches. But for me, I think the year after the Olympics is a growth year. You've got so much drop-off in senior players, usually retiring, and that's what's happened in the Hockeyroos, and you're trying to start developing and fill gaps. It's impossible to maintain like what the Netherlands have done for all those years because they have so much depth. And so I find it really hard when people start saying it's all the coach's fault because at the end of the day, players are making their own decisions out on the field. And I know firsthand the amount of knowledge, development, time, effort Trini goes to putting into her players and the amount of scouting, like I don't think she stops working. And so her work ethic's incredible. And I think it's so highly offensive when people immediately go, you need to fire her because she's lost a 3-match series where in at least 2 of those games, inherently on the field, they did dominate. Yes, they didn't score goals to win the match, but a lot of what you need to work with is there. And so I get so frustrated when people immediately go, oh, yeah, fire them. That's the solution. Like you're still going to have the same playing group that are going to go onto the field. You might have a few changes with a new coach, but I think she has the mixing of the ingredients there to develop a great team, and she just has to tweak it a little bit because you've got so many girls that have come out of the team, so many girls that have been stepped up into new roles. And so, I think it's not, people think Oceania is this huge deal. I actually think it's really good for the Hockeyroos going through this second phase. They get more opportunity to play high pressure games against nations that they need to beat. And so I think those two will be really beneficial long term for them having to go through this hard route to World Cup. You shouldn't do that to qualify for the Olympics, but for World Cup, I think it's a valuable experience for these girls in particular.
Yeah, well, she certainly got I don't think that anything will happen until after the qualifiers. Obviously, if they don't qualify for the World Cup, that becomes a different story. But I think it's just a bit of a personnel tweak with selection. And let's be honest, like Penny Squibb is one of their best defenders, and she hasn't been available for almost all year. I think if you structure her up in the centre back position, it allows you to push Caitlin Nobbs into the midfield, which gives them more structure going forward, and then it allows an Amy Lawton to maybe even run around as a striker potentially. Yeah. So I think there's definitely some upside for the Hockeyroos, and they should be able to work towards obviously qualifying at the qualifiers in 2026. Brilliant questions, Ryrite_88. Thank you very much. Anon has dropped us a line once more. Thoughts on both teams who lost in shootouts last year's grand finals being eliminated first? Fascinating quirk. I think it's just a quirk, really. I just think it's a fascinating little anomaly. Both Melville and UWA women probably haven't been at their best all year, and that'll be for both teams, I think, based on personnel. Obviously, Lexi Pickering and Courtney Chanel out for a lot of this year. The Staines brothers obviously out a lot for Melville. So big names to take out. I think it'll just a development year, and great that they obviously made grand finals. But unfortunately, other teams just got a bit stronger and were a bit better.
Yeah.
So, that's probably especially the only thing with it.
UWA's case, obviously, Pippa Morgan being out for all the year with injury.
Yeah.
Highly disruptive, and trying to, obviously just get over the line and just make the top 5.
Yeah.
And they scrambled to do so. Same with Melville. They had a lot of ins and outs, a lot of injuries. It's asking a lot of teams in then finals hockey to go, okay, let's now be a cohesive unit. Let's all play together, even though we haven't done that the entire season.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question is from Chris Charles. He writes, question for the Hockey Hour, please. How do Aussie players get allocated to the Premier League clubs? Didn't it used to be a draft system? It seems like the teams lower on the ladder get goalkeepers, for example, Jed Snowden to Mods Old Guildford. Wouldn't it be more helpful for those teams to get a good midfielder player to make more of a difference on the field during games? Now, Chris, this is a great question because it has changed this year. It was a draft system where players would be drafted, and it would be essentially the lower teams that would get the first picks, and then it would sort of work itself through there, and depending if a club wanted to throw their player back or whatever it is. However, this year it was changed, probably to benefit the athletes maybe a little bit more. So clubs could have a maximum of 2 Hockeyroos or Kookaburras, but they could effectively go and get whoever they wanted. Obviously, there are players that are etched to their club. So James Collins for Vic Park, Jake Harvey and Tom Harvey at Wolves, etc. But the others were kind of free game. So it was up to the clubs as to how they wanted to approach it. And it, I guess a Mods Old Guildford chose to pick Jed, and they thought that was the best option. It doesn't. I don't think the goalkeepers didn't go to the bottom clubs in the women, because Joss Bartram's at your club, isn't she?
Yeah. It was Hockeyroos have done this the last 2 years, so it's not new to us. We employed it, and then the Kookaburras looked over the fence and were like, "We like what you've done there." And yeah, the whole thing was putting it in the power of the players, because from a player perspective, you just were treated like a trading card. You weren't treated like a human most years. You had some clubs that literally just recycle people because, we don't want them anymore, and there was no loyalty. Some clubs are great at it. Some clubs will stick with you even if you've got a long-term injury and all of that. Some are really great, but there's a few that really ruin it for the others. And that's why we, as a group 2 years ago as Hockeyroos, said, okay, how can we do this differently? How can we get players to go, I really want to be at your club and I want to stay at your club because I love what you're doing. Can you have me? Rather than them the coach is sitting in a room and the players have no influence. They just pick a name and go, done. And so therefore creating relationships with clubs and longer lasting. And so hopefully if you stay in Perth after your tenure in the international team, you are, I really want to stay here. I've created this community. I haven't played for 7 clubs whilst I've been here.
Yep. And it does become hard for the lower grades because players will naturally want to play for the stronger clubs. But this is where those clubs can maybe look to poach guys who then become guys and girls who become on the fringe of their club because the Kookaburras or Hockeyroos are playing. So it is a bit of a interesting one in how it works. But yeah, obviously Jane's given the reason as to why. But that would be the reason, Chris. But thank you for your question. Yeah. Give us your thoughts. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Question number 6 from Ebony_J18. Why did they change the overhead receiving rule? Another great question. Now, Ebony, this was out of pure safety. What happens initially was that the defender had to give the attacker 5 yards of space to be able to trap the ball and bring it down to a playable height or a allowable height, generally under your knees. However, with the now very, very clever and innovative strategy of overheading the ball into the circle, defenders were having to watch an attacker trap the ball and then line up a baseball bat style shot at goal with them standing 5 yards away and not able to really influence it. So the rule has now changed that once the attacker has controlled it or touched it, as long as the defender is 5, they can then go and attack it. So it effectively becomes a bit more safety for those that don't want to be in the space of a attacker just blasting it.
Yeah, I think it's harder for people at Premier League or even club level to understand because largely I haven't seen it happen in Prem 1 women, at least, overheads into the circle to a baseball shot. And so often you're like, well, you just kind of consider general field of play. And so it's like, oh, this makes no sense. It's like harder to umpire and this and that. And guaranteed there's so many times where I'm like, I don't know what you're going to call there because I don't know. But yeah, largely it was for the circle danger. But I don't think at club level there's been that many from a women's side of things that I've witnessed before the rule was in place. So, yeah, it's more perplexing for us on the women's side.
No, it's a great question, Ebony. It's been a difficult rule to adjudicate, and now it becomes even harder for the umpires. But look, I think you just got to take the good with the bad. The umpire is making a decision based on what they see and the angle that they're on. So, yeah, unfortunately, you probably win some, you probably lose some. Maybe let's get 3 umpires.
Someone said it one time.
We're going to go to FIH and stamp our feet.
Yeah.
Last question on this week's episode. Rowan.Ramesh21, one of our frequent mailbaggers, had a keen eye at the Oceania Cup. Can you explain the Kookaburras' new PC strategy having 1 player stop and 3 flickers on the top? Great question, Rowan. Now, I don't know the specific strategy or the specific reason, but my thought would be is that they've got 3 very, very good flickers. So why not line them all up on the top and make the first runner decide who he goes to? It allows you a little bit more flexibility around who flicks, but then variation-wise where it goes to next. So I certainly noticed that as well. I think it was Govers, Geddes, and Haywood that would generally start at the top, and all very good flickers. So it's just a ploy to try and throw the defense off, Rowan, and sometimes there's 3 stoppers for 3 trappers, for 3 flickers as well. So that's another one that it maybe just too many people around for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's certainly fascinating.
Yeah, usually a lot of teams will scout each flicker and go, this is their preferred flick. And so when you go into defence, the goalkeeper will be like, okay, number 1 flicker is on first battery. This is where they like to flick. And so everyone's set. But if you've got this one trapper lining up with 3 flickers, they're going to have to be like, oh, okay, remember, Govers does this and this person does this person does this. So it makes it complex. But also in turn, say you have Govers lining up to flick and Jeremy behind him. It might be a simple behind the back ball, which you thought was going to be a direct. But now an even better flicker is flicking the ball. So, yeah.
Yep, great question, Rowan, and very keen eye on the Oceania Cup. Well done. I like that. That's all for the mailbag this week. Thank you for everyone for your questions. We very much appreciate it. Some absolute rippers in there. Keep an eye on Hockey WA's Instagram story and submit your questions to Jane and I. If you want to give us tips for next weekend's Premier League grand finals, we'd love to hear them, or just give us some feedback. We'd always love to hear it. We can send that obviously through to Hockey WA or to Jane or myself directly. We love hearing your feedback. All right, Jane, it's been a big, how many days has it been? 5 days? 5 days in the Stiles Electrical Premier League. Let's go to the women and let's go back to Saturday. Saturday was, let's start with the elimination final between Vic Park and UWA. A cracking game of hockey. Vic Park victorious, 2-1. Georgia Hiskins and Renee Rockcliffe on the scoreboard. Nasa Flynn got one late, but seemed like all the work had been done early.
Yeah, no, I was there for this. Vic Park played very well. Yeah, I think both teams had bouts of dominating some form of play, but yeah, Georgia Hiskins was so good for Vic Park. She was everywhere. Yeah. You thought, oh, yeah, she's just playing sweeper, and then suddenly she was halfback and then on the other side of the field, and she was, creating some issues for UWA going into attack. But, yeah, Vic Park had a solid team performance. They have such a good passing game, whereas UWA quite individual in how they approach the game in terms of one-out running, whereas Vic Park, it's just so hard to defend against them because they're so good at making those little small connections through midfield. So it was a lovely game to commentate.
I like it. Ending UWA's season, and Vic Park moved on. The other qualification final was a Maddie Radcliffe-less Westside Wolf feeding Hale 1-0. Ellie Buckley getting a field goal in the 23rd minute. The feedback from Tom Wetton on this game, I think you commentated with him. It was a struggle. It was a real battle of the strategists.
Yeah, Hale dominated. Inherently had the ball in there, attacking 50 for a lot of the game. Had so many penalty corners, but to Wolves' credit, they defended so well, and obviously Evie in the goals did so well. At one stage, me and Tom were just joking that I think it was Gemma gets on the ball at 16, just tries to hit it as hard as she could to try and maybe find Ellie up front. So, yeah, Wolves didn't have many answers for Hale, but those games where one team has dominated and you could just smell that there was going to be a counter-attack goal. Yeah. And that's what, happened in this case.
Well, that meant Wolves moved on to Wednesday night and played Subs Lions for a spot in the grand final. Semi-final was essentially number 2. This was a ripping game of hockey. Maddie Radcliffe returned for Westside Wolves. So they had some sparkle right off the bat. It was a great battle between her and Maria Guastavino in the midfield. There was a stroke saved by Evie Dalton. And
I saw how great.
And then, not long after, there was a stroke saved by Caitlin Cooper, both going bottom right. And then it took until the 59th minute for Maddie Radcliffe to score a penalty corner going over the glove of Caitlin Cooper and send Westside Wolves into the grand final.
Yeah, incredible. But 2 goalie saves on strokes. That's like the icon of when you're a goalie, saving. So, yeah.
You reckon they would have been clapping each other?
Yeah, surely. Surely.
The other semi-final was Vic Park and Hale, and this one was a belter too. It went all the way to extra time. Opening the scoring was Kirst Dwyer. She scored a penalty stroke and was a night for penalty strokes.
Yeah.
Georgia Wilson, and then in the 48th minute, scored a penalty stroke as well. So we went to extra time. And then Lene Milan, the Hale skipper, absolutely rocketed one into the bottom right corner of Isabel Duff's goal and got Hale to Sunday's preliminary final. I don't think even a Joss Bartram would have saved that. It was
I saw a replay of it. It was incredible, but also incredible skill leading up to the shot too, because she had her back to the goal and eliminated. Your commentary was very good on it. So,
thank you. I actually sent her a message today and said, "Oh, look, that was a great goal," and she said her mum was watching and that she said that I almost wet myself when I was commentating. That's what it sounded like.
No, you're very excited.
Look, I'm not going to deny that I did or didn't. So it was, I could see it coming and I know how she hits the ball. So a fantastic finish. That lines up now, Lions and Hale to play off on Sunday to take on Wolves in the grand final. Who do you like?
Yeah, Lions are, if they can have a full strength team, they have Ellis back, they have Amy, they will be so hard. But yeah, Hale are very, very good. And so it's going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes into extra time and then shootouts. So that's kind of where I see with it. I think it's going to go shootouts. Yeah.
I'm going to go subs, because I think Amy and Alice will play and they'll kind of tear it apart, especially Alice if she's playing as a striker. Like Madonna and Kirst are fantastic defenders, but I'm not sure they could deal with Alice.
Yeah, all of that happening, and I probably more swaying towards Lions as well. It'll be a good game to commentate.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're on the mic.
Yeah.
Let's move to the men. We go to the elimination final, and this was a belter between YMCC and Melville. Melville went up 2-0, and then YMCC got 2 in the last quarter, in the 51st and 53rd minute, to tie the game. We went to extra time. We had nothing, and then we went to a shootout. And Melville missed their 4. YMCC had scorers in Luke Anderson and Michael Nikolai, and they won the game. It was Luke Anderson and Jesse Regan in normal time for YMCC, James Day and Jake Staines in normal time for Melville, and then essentially 2 out of 8 shootouts went in. So fantastic goalkeeping by Hunter Banyard and Tyler Lovell. And YMCC knocked off Melville.
Yeah, crazy. I don't think either of us maybe saw this coming, considering who YM were able to field.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, goalkeeping.
I know.
Best out there.
On fire. Wanted to send some love to James Day. I know he took a horrible injury, or had a horrible injury during the game, and was being looked after by some great people at Melville. So wishing James Day a speedy recovery. Hopefully there's not too much damage there and he's able to get back on the park. Of course, the Canberra Chill will want him as much as they can during the Hockey One season. So well wishes to James Day. The other final, the qualification final, was a 2-1 victory to Vic Park over Fremantle Coburn. Matt Dawson scoring in the first minute and then levelled by Matt Bird from a penalty corner. Lawson Patton-Williams scored from a penalty corner, and that was all she wrote. The Panthers held on.
Yeah, awesome by you guys to knock off the top of the league.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's only their 3rd loss of the year. I obviously didn't play in the game and watched the final 2 minutes. And, I think Freo had the ball in the circle with about 2 seconds on the clock. So they almost gave themselves another opportunity to tie the game, to send it to extra time. And they've been experts at that this year. So, yeah, it was well done by the Panthers to hold out. But it just shows you that being able to score late in games is so crucial, especially when it comes to finals time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But unfortunately, you guys obviously spent all your cookies in that game.
We certainly did. We came up against, on Tuesday night, probably the strongest UWA team of the whole year. Chris Sorello with a hat-trick. Nath Ephraim's, Cam Geddes and Harry Golding all on the scoreboard. Jake Wetton on the scoreboard for Vic Park. It was 2-1 at halftime, but probably an average second quarter by the Vic Park boys, letting in 2 penalty corners, and then chasing the game, I guess. UWA got away and able to score a couple in the final quarter. So 6-1, and UWA booking their spot, the reigning premiers, I should say, booking their spot in the 2025 grand final. Whilst for Vic Park, they'll have to play on Sunday.
Yeah, rematch.
Yes.
Do you guys get many back?
We should get Kai Willett back. We didn't have him on Tuesday. He chose to stay in Darwin a bit longer. So we should hopefully have Kai Willett back. But Corey is headed off back to Germany. So unfortunately, we won't have him. Fremantle Coburn knocked off YMCC 4-1 in the late game on Tuesday night. Aaron Hazel, Matt Bird, Jack Welsh and Ben O'Grady all scoring from penalty, field goal for Aaron Hazel, but 3 penalty corners. Liam Henderson got a late penalty corner for YMCC, but Freo just getting back on the right track with a W to get them into Sunday's preliminary final.
Yeah, that's a comprehensive scoreline as well. So I can't wait for
it's going to be a ripper.
Final on the weekend.
Who do you like, Jane?
I want to say, well, Freo, they won't get many ins, will they, for the weekend? So
no,
I think I'm going to back Vic Park in, I think.
Okay.
And then give them another crack at UWA.
All right, we'll have to see. It's going to be a cracking game on Sunday. But make sure, well, firstly, obviously the Premier 1s, 2s, and I think 3s and the juniors are on this weekend in their preliminary finals. But want to wish everyone else playing their grand finals this weekend all the very best of luck. Grand finals are such a fun day, and it's even better when you're involved, and then even better again when you win. So wishing all the teams in grand finals all the very best of luck from the Hockey Hour. Hopefully there's some really great games of hockey and some even better partying after.
We guarantee there'll be leaks out there, so we'll probably be hit by a leak by the end of it.
And make sure you get out to the Hockey Stadium on Sunday. 2 brilliant preliminary finals in the afternoon. Let's hope the weather holds out. Get out there and support your club. There's sure to be 2 fantastic games of hockey. Hockey WA is thrilled to have the continued support of Stiles Electrical Services as the naming rights sponsor of the 2025 Premier League men's and women's competitions. With over 25 years of experience in sports lighting, Stiles Electrical Services is committed to supporting hockey's growth in WA by assisting clubs with floodlighting upgrades and strengthening pathways for athlete development. Their ongoing support will help enhance one of the world's strongest domestic hockey competitions, and we cannot thank them enough for their support. Visit styleselectrical.com.au to find out more about Stiles Electrical and how they can help your club.
Well, time for the dugout part of the show. And, well, with the Hockey One season creeping upon us very, very quickly, it's time to chat to one of our coaches. We've got the men's coach, Stephen China Davies, returning for another season with the Perth Thundersticks men. Welcome to the show again, China.
Thanks, Jay. It's great to be here with you.
No, thank you, mate. We appreciate your time. Now, I'm not sure if you've caught much of the show this year, but we've been asking our guests what their coffee order is. What's your coffee order?
Oh, very simple man, mate. Just a flat white.
Flat white, okay.
Just needs to be excellent. That's all. It's one comment with pork.
No, and I do know that you did dabble in beans at one point, didn't you?
Certainly had a little bit of time in the coffee industry, and it's still the highlight of my day, which is pretty sad.
Oh, brilliant, mate. We'll have to let everyone know your coffee expertise at another time. But I guess what got you back for another season with the group? You were not sure at the end of last year what you'd do, and you've signed on again for another season of Hockey One. What got you over the line?
I think a number of things, like probably last year was a little bit sort of unexpected. Certainly wasn't looking to be coaching hockey at that time, but once you sort of sink your teeth into it, and I really enjoyed it again. I was lucky enough to surround myself with some really, really good guys who could help me along, and sort of, I guess, almost had to relearn hockey to a degree. And then, of course, there's the playing group and the competition, which is always exciting. So more than anything, it was just the fact that I think we need to sort of have some consistency across the program for a year or two, and that means that I think I had to sort of line up the game. So here we are, we're going to go around again with a different looking squad. That's sort of the direction we've been heading in the last couple of years.
Yeah, we'll touch on that shortly, but we'll give us an idea of how the preparation is going so far. You've been hard at it amongst all the finals and the end of the season and things like that. So how has the sessions gone so far with the group?
Yeah, mate, look, it's a tough time of year because you are going into semi-finals. We probably did get going a little later than we wanted to, through no support of our own, just the way it played out. But we sort of probably got going a good 2 to 4 weeks after when I was really hoping to have been started, having the trials out of the way, the squad selected and started training. So we're a little bit behind where I want to be. And then, of course, it's very tricky in around the finals time. You don't get access to all the guys. Really want to try and work closely with the club coaches to make sure that they're getting access to their players, and at the same time trying to coordinate the smaller sessions with the group we have left over, and not making sure we're not sort of overloading players that are used to coming out of only 2 club sessions and a game on the weekend, and then all of a sudden you're throwing them into 4 sessions a week and a club game and not one your practice games as well. So it's a little tricky time to try and balance everybody, and of course at the back end of the year, guys are starting to get those little niggles. So it's a tricky space. However, the training sessions have been really, really good. Very upbeat, good tempo guys. The squad seemed very able to take on new ideas and run with them, which I'm really, really excited about. So yeah, at this stage, mate, I'm very happy with the way we're going so far. There's a lot of competitive stuff at the moment, just trying to get guys used to the speed, the tempo that they're going to get in Hockey One, and of course that gets Calgary.
Yeah, I caught a session Monday night, I think, earlier in the week, and yeah, it looked very good. It was very competitive, and I really liked what you were doing with the stuff inside the circle, which of course is one of your expertise. Having a chat with Mrs. Geddes, Cam's mum, and she affectionately came up with the name the Baby Sticks, being that it is quite a younger group this year. Now, give us an idea of how that sort of played out. Is it just what happened? The older guy decided not to go on, or were there conversations had? To give us an idea how that played out.
A little bit of everything there, mate. It's, we're always heading in this direction. I think that, we made a point of it last year, saying the fact that, Davies had, or Tim Davies, I should say, unknowing in the public, Tim Davies had a massive run with 4 21 swings in a row, which is really unprecedented. So we need to capitalise on that, because we know we've got the talent there of players who are capable of winning at the national level. So we were always heading in that direction. We showed our hand a little bit last year. So this year we were, again, always going to be going in that younger direction, trying to get these guys through, get them some experience under their belt, because, this year, next year, or the year after, we're going to have some team. And certainly there was a few of the older guys who I thought might just want to be around, who sort of moved on and changed direction. And I think that's sort of a bit of the lay of the land at the moment, since guys who have played, 4 or 5, 6 years, and sort of wrapping it up and saying, well, I'm going to head to my career now and get on with work. I don't know if we're going to have players playing as long as they used to. Guys seem to have a different direction at certain times. So whilst I wouldn't say we absolutely we're going to pick all these really, really young guys, that's it. We certainly were going in that direction, and maybe a few of the older crews sort of have decided to move on and try different things in life, which is fantastic. And thank them for the time they put in previously already. We really appreciate that, and we're grateful for all the players who went before us. But more than anything now, mate, now it's sort of happened, and we're just nothing but excited with the talent of the group. And we see that week in, week out of training. It's just going to matter how fast we can get up to the level.
Yeah, it's a very exciting group. There are obviously your Kookaburra players, and then you've got guys who have been a part of the Burrows squad previously. You've got guys currently part of the Burrows squad, and then the guys that are just probably knocking on the door as hard as they can and having really dominant Stiles Electrical Premier League season. So it is a very exciting group and a very exciting time for the Perth Thundersticks men. What would you see as an expectation for this season, or maybe a pass mark? It is a season that only has a handful of games, and you probably have to start very well, or you find yourself on the back foot. But what do you see as a pass mark for this season?
Oh, look, you've got to be careful with these sorts of expectations. I mean, obviously we made the semi-finals last year, which was a huge step up from what had previously happened. So you kind of say, well, that's the benchmark. We want to play finals, but obviously when you have a turnover of probably over half the squad, you generally try and work on maybe a third or a quarter of a squad turning over every year. We've had a bigger changeover than that. So, mate, look, the expectations are that we get to a certain level that we are happy with, and that we improve every single time we go up the track. We call it sort of previous excellence. So every time we train, we get that little bit better, and every game we play, we want to get better. Of course, mate, I'm still aiming to win. And so are the guys. That's how much we believe in the talent that's in the room. Pass mark, yeah, I still want to play finals, mate. Simple as that. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, love that. It's a great goal. And I think, it's not something that's out of reach of this group. So they're going to be ups and downs, but I think there's some real potential there with the Perth Thundersticks men. Lastly, before I let you go, mate, your off-field staff, obviously very, very important people to make sure you can do your job very well. Who have you got signed on to help you off-field this year?
It's quite similar to last year, mate. We still have myself, obviously, there with Neil Hallwood, or Harpo, who I wouldn't do it without probably. We did sort of lose Gearsy across to the women's program, which is a really good bit of professional development for him. But in his place, we were very fortunate to pick up Anthony Potter. So almost like for like as far as experienced coaches go and talent. So we're extremely lucky. In fact, if anything, Potsy's probably more experienced than all of us, which is fantastic. So great to have Potsy on board, and so far that's been just fantastic, awesome, and we're really enjoying that. And I think he's got a really value add. Murray McIntyre's still around the group, making sure we're doing all the right things and building our culture and the direction we want to head. And we were really fortunate to pick up, we didn't have a manager, so to speak, last year. So Graham Moore from the Hockey Adelaide has volunteered his time. He is an awesome man. So just a rip the crew, and Rob Nation should be able to get once again. If anyone's got to deal with Rob Nation, that's what he is.
Oh, fantastic, mate. Some really good people that are lined up there. It's going to be hot and heavy straight off the bat. Round one for the Perth Thundersticks is going to be in Queensland against the Brisbane Blaze, starting on Friday, the 10th of October. China, well, I'm sure we'll speak very soon again about the group, but wish you and everyone a part of the Perth Thundersticks, man, all the very best for the upcoming Hockey One season.
I really appreciate it, mate. Thanks to everyone that's following us and supporting it. We really do appreciate it. We're very grateful with that. Sure.
That's all we have for this week's episode of the Hockey Hour. Thank you for your company. Jace Gabriel and Jane Claxton signing off again. Be sure to join in next week for a huge grand final episode. We cannot wait to bring it to you. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on YouTube. But for this week's episode of the Hockey Hour, thank you for your company.